What's up, y'all? It's Jay the VCA. As I'm sure you could tell by my background, I'm back in the United States. I didn't plan on coming back this quickly, but after getting scammed again and a few other challenges that happened to me in Kenya, I made my way back home, back to the United States, to my supposed second home. But let's reevaluate that and see if that's actually still my first home. Kenya being my first home, and this being my second home after getting scammed again.
Hello, my people. Today we're gonna zoom in on all these black people, black Americans, or African Americans, or black British that travel to Africa. We want to zoom in on their complaining structure, their mourning all the time, because what we see with this, most of them, like, not all of them, but most of them, is when they travel to Africa. This they show their mourning culture because they will mourn about everything. Some of them will mourn about everything. They complain. It's all about complain. You know what I mean? And I don't know why they are bringing this culture to Africa. Africa, we don't complain, but maybe complaining they might think like complaining and mourning is a good thing. Maybe. But in Africa, we don't do that. We don't complain and mourn. Maybe because we don't complain. Maybe because we know like complaining doesn't change much. Our nobody put into consideration your complaint. Like maybe in the Western world, many people complain that things might change, but in Africa, things doesn't change. When you complain, just have to deal with it. You know what I mean, and find a way to survive. But what I'm talking about today is this: our black people, most of them born abroad, when they go to Africa, it's all about finding something to complain about. You're finding something to complain about. But when Africans travel like to America or to Europe, they don't complain. What they do is they don't even, what they want to do is that they want to take pictures in the most beautiful places, in the Western world. You don't see Africans complaining. No, they don't. It's not their culture. But I can understand that mourning and complaining is the culture in the West, and playing victim as well. Victimhood is rampant in the West. They complain and play victim. You know what I mean? So I see a lot of our black, fellow black people, when they go to Africa, it's all about complaining. They say if they don't complain about weather, they complain about people, people that are not so nice, people that don't treat them so nice. But you know why I'm making this video? Because when you look at the opposite way, like when you look at the white people, especially white women, when they travel to Africa, they don't complain. You don't see them complain. They enjoy it. I mean, maybe I don't know why. You see, they bring in positive stuff more than negative stuff. You know what I mean? You don't see them, talking about, even when they're no longer in Africa, they'll see, talk good about Africa. I mean, those that travel, not talking about the propaganda they have been putting on the media. I mean, those that are traveling recently to Africa, the white people, white women, they don't complain. Even white men, they don't complain. But I see this our black people, black Americans or British or people that born in Europe. I see them, they complain in Africa. I don't know why they don't give Africa time. Because I understand why they're complaining, because they just go there. They think that the system in Africa should function to the system in the West, but it's not. It's not how it is. The Africa still have a long way to go. You know what I mean? And sometimes we need patience. Things is gonna improve, but complaining is just you're just, I mean, it's stressing yourself. That stress you're putting to yourself, because nobody cares about when you complain in Africa. It's not in the West. When you complain and moan, some people might start doing something about complaining. But in Africa, it's different. But the money culture in the West is not something to write home about. It's not something to be proud of, because many people in the West moan a lot. They complain about anything. They find reason to complain. But in Africa, people go about their business, because what are you gonna do? What's Things will not change, like, because you are complaining. This our leaders doesn't listen to people that complain. They don't care about whether you complain or not. You know what I mean? So I want our brothers, in diaspora Africa, or black people. I want them to visit Africa, but you visit Africa, you don't complain much. But I can say that not all of them does that. But most people that does it is most people that maybe they're using it to create content. You know what I mean? Because people are attracted to negative stuff. If you make a video and talk about how good Africa is, you're not gonna get more view. But when you start complaining, like wanting a mosquito, mosquito have been pushing you everywhere you go in Africa, people will watch you. You know what I mean? Thank you for watching. Peace.